Hey Home Inspire, I'm Emily. Welcome to my renovated Victorian terrace home in East London. I can't wait to show you around. We bought the property 3 years ago and it was super rundown, super dilapidated. We really wanted a property that wasn't super done up at the time because we wanted to make our own mark on it. And we felt that this had all the potential, really great natural light, really great space configuration, and it worked for me and my partner as well as our little dog. So it'd be great to walk you through the renovation journey. So when we first bought the property, it had a little bit of the holy trinity. It had pebble dash, it had PVC windows, it had wallpaper everywhere inside. So it was one of the first things we looked at to give it a little bit of a facelift, because I do think curb appeal is really important. So whenever we come home now, it feels a lot more like us. So the front was actually resurfaced. We removed the pebble dash and resurfaced the brick, did new pointing, we repainted the sills, all the architectural features on the front. We ripped out the PVC windows to reinstate timber sash windows. We also revamped the front garden. So these pavings that you see in a herringbone pattern is the same material actually that we used in our back garden. So I like to use the same materials, maybe in different ways throughout the house to kind of be considerate and thoughtful rather than overwhelming the house with too many types of different material choices. Some other elements that we can see probably of original is this quarry tile in the front pathway. It was something that I think both my partner and I wanted to keep. It feels like a little bit of history that we could keep intact, even though a lot of the house was kind of ripped by previous owners. So the front door was also ripped up by the previous owners. It was actually a PVC door that we found when we moved in. We wanted stained glass front door. Again, it's a really big feature that I think a lot of people love. Our friends and family really love this. It's actually sourced and procured from Wales. The lead time was obscenely long. It was probably as long as the renovation itself, but good things are worth the wait. We repainted the front door in this linseed oil paint. So yeah, this is lovely olive green that we have and super happy to come home to it every day. We're in our hallway now, and this staircase is actually the existing staircase that we refurbished. It was super creaky when we moved in. It wasn't well loved, let's say, and I wanted to make sure it was a really nice element for us to walk into. I wanted it to be a pop of color, painting it in this lovely Tuscan red by Little Green. And we reinstated some of the features like the spindle, like the handrail. And this runner actually is an element from Etsy. I sourced it from India. I think I spent about £300. I love to make sure to find more cost-effective ways to make your house look beautiful. I don't necessarily think spending a lot of money is necessary to make your house feel like yours. The flooring is actually engineered timber floor. We found carpet when we moved in, and when we ripped up the carpet it was actually existing timber floorboards, but we found a lot of it to be too damaged, so we decided to lay engineered timber floorboards down here and salvage as much as we could down here to repurpose upstairs in our bedrooms. I think less is more sometimes, so this timber floorboard runs into our office and our living room space, which I'll show you now. So this is our living room. When we first bought the house, there was actually a door into the living room directly, and this wall was actually blocked up. So there were two separate spaces, the front room and the middle room. And we actually knocked through it, closed the door in the living room because we wanted to create a little bit of a snag and introduce these pocket door systems to connect the two spaces. This fireplace was actually blocked up with brick wallpaper. So when we took off the board, we found a lovely fireplace, an active one actually, and we restored it. We reinstated the surround, bought a new mantle, and it's been lovely. Every winter we have the fire on over Christmas. It's such a lovely central feature for me, my friends, my family. And yeah, we decided to color drench the space. It feels very luxurious as well. Whenever I'm in here, it's very calming. When we close off these pocket doors, this space actually functions quite well acoustically because the doors have these acoustic seals walls around them. And there are lots of elements in this room that were reclaimed either from eBay or Facebook Marketplace. This coffee table that's in the living room from Facebook Marketplace, rug is from eBay, and I try to use art as well to kind of anchor spaces so they feel a lot more like us. With these pocket doors here, our middle room is actually our office space. I was very conscious that if we worked from home, we wanted it to be easy and quick access to the front door, and our upstairs spaces are reserved more for bedrooms and relaxing, so we wanted the middle room to kind of serve that functional purpose. It is dark, but I feel like we have brought in a lot more natural light than it typically would be with a throughway into the kitchen and extension, and I try to be very cognizant of lighting in homes, especially because I think they can set a mood for different functionality, whether that's rest or work. This is our kitchen dining space. It's the biggest space in the house. When we bought the house was very untouched. So we knew when we bought it, we wanted to do a rear and side extension to maximize space and maximize footprint of the house. It had a large garden, so we felt like we could sacrifice some of the garden space and still make the dining and kitchen work. And originally we wanted a box extension out in the rear as well as the side. It went into full planning, and planning had actually said the height of the extension was too tall in the side for our neighbors. So we had to pitch the side extension. And I think sometimes when planning says no, it's actually a really good design opportunity to kind of exercise some of the creativity and see how you can turn restriction into positive. So we actually introduced timber elements in the pitch roof so that it wasn't just a large expanse of skylight. We also were constrained by budget, so we didn't want to just have large panes of glass, which also meant that actually it would probably be really hot in the summer. So these timber elements were introduced to kind of create rhythm, introduce a lot more natural tones and warmth in the space. And we bought made-to-order skylights that were much cheaper than fully bespoke item. The size itself also meant that we could save cost. Marilena, our architect, was really inventive in how we could create the right balance of functionality, but also design and integration of the internal space. So this is our main kitchen run. We actually decided to just have one single run of kitchen. I'm not a fan of L-shaped kitchens. So our kitchen was actually built by a joiner. They're MDF with veneer doors. Again, a budget conscious decision. And actually the moment and the hero of the space was kind of happening on the floor. So we have these reclaimed checkerboard quarry tiles that I reclaimed from a yard, and we laid them in the kitchen. It was an unusual choice when it was described by my contractor not to use a new material, but I actually think it's an element that we don't feel so precious about because they are already weathered and they have been lived in, and a kitchen is such a functional space. It's probably the most used space in homes anyways. I think it adds a lot of interest. People oftentimes walk in here and don't expect something so unusual, I guess. So we wanted to keep the kitchen very simple, nothing kind of overpowering and drawing your eye too much away from the floor finish. So there are draped roof handle doors, as well as a quartz top that's matte and kind of looks like concrete. So very, very simple with white paint backdrop. This is our window seat actually in our side extension. When planning rejected our flat roof and when we introduced the side pitch, I wanted the space also to feel as if it was intentionally designed. From the rear, you'll see that the extension actually looks as if they're two separate forms. So the rear extension actually is flat with the side extension kind of pushed back, which meant that there was actually an opportunity to create something quite functional and quite intentional in the window seat. So I think it frames the garden really nicely. Sometimes we sit in the living room, we get a direct aspect out into the garden. I'm really, really proud of this moment in the house. So we're in our garden. I am not a believer on bifold doors, and I always wanted a sliding door. It was a non-compromise that sliding doors were the element to kind of connect the two spaces. Our contractor also really delicately and very smartly hidden the frames. So I love that sliding doors can kind of recede in the background and it's not this jarring and bulky item that bifold doors often are. The rear extension is actually brick work. It's standard reclaimed brick to kind of match the existing house. There's nothing too extravagant about it. We didn't want it to be super complex. Again, I think a lot of the wow and design elements kind of happen in the house. And the side extension is actually charred timber. It's very, very minimal compared to what some of the extensions might be in London. But I actually think it's lovely. It kind of, again, pushes back the element and it lends itself quite well to the planter we have in the garden. So the entire house, kitchen, interior, exterior, architecture and garden were designed simultaneously. Then that way you can be a lot more thoughtful and considerate about some of the spaces that you use. Our garden was not very well looked after when we bought the house. It was actually just lawn and there was a little shed at the back. So when we redesigned and renovated the house, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with the garden, but I just knew that we couldn't leave it. I'm very conscious that gardens are a lot of work. So whenever I advise my clients who are doing renovations to also consider doing the garden as a part of the major works, because sometimes people think to put a lot of money and energy into kitchens, but the kitchen is directly connected to the garden. So when you do decide to do the garden, a lot of the soil, a lot of the labor will be going through your well-finished and nicely decorated kitchen. So I knew I wanted to do the kitchen as a part of the major works. When we worked with Susanna, my landscape designer, I had no idea I was going to be a budding gardener. I've never had a garden previously in my past lives. So when we kind of inherited this and designed it, I found myself to fall in love with gardening so much. I love that we get a little piece of this in London, which feels like such a privilege. We didn't previously have a downstairs bathroom in the existing configuration, and we wanted to introduce just a toilet space that our friends and family can use when we're hosting them. It's a very unexpected space, I think. Most oftentimes when we have friends here, they don't know that there's a downstairs bathroom. It feels really private because the door is leading into the hallway space. Some of the finishes are very feminine, I feel like. I chose a buttery yellow, which is very on trend at the moment. But these finishing touches that make it look a little bit dainty and delicate when you're in our home, I just want friends and family to feel as part of our living space. So that's all for the ground floor. Let's go upstairs to look at some of the bedrooms. So we're on the first floor now, and this is our bedroom, our main bedroom. This is actually the first room we kind of did up before the extension. We kind of fragmented the two portion of works because we were living in this house for a while before renovations kind of started. Under the advice of a lot of friends and family, we wanted to do at least one room that we can kind of recede and get some space to soothe ourselves in amongst the renovation chaos. We ripped up all the wallpaper, we did the windows, we actually sanded and finished the floors. We have timber floorboards here, so we repurposed that. We repurposed the fireplace so we could have that up and ready. Built wardrobes from IKEA PAX units, which I think most people do for economical reasons, to make them look integrated into the space. And yeah, this was the first thing that we kind of felt like gave us a lot of momentum and a lot of satisfaction that we will get to the end eventually. So it's a really, really nice space for us to sleep in and rest in. I really love waking up here. So we're just in our hallway space. We also have an additional guest bedroom. It's a really, really lovely thing for me and my partner to be able to host friends and family, especially in London. We wanted to make sure the guest bedroom was actually one of the first things, as well as our bedroom, to be ready. And we also have a laundry space at the back of the house. And I think with most Victorian terrace homes, utility spaces is not really kind of considered. Even though we didn't want to technically give up a bedroom, we could use it as a bit of a functional area without a bed. It's a space that meant that we could do all of our drying, all of our folding kind of away from the main kitchen and the main dining spaces. So we are in our primary bathroom. It's not a really big space, not as big as any of our bedrooms, for example, but it packs a punch. I think bathrooms and kitchens are the hardest working rooms in any home, and I was very very, very conscious of that. Every bit of this bathroom is designed and calculated to the exact millimeter to make sure that it functions the way it needs to. So we have a tiled shower enclosure with a little upstand. I'm not a big shower screen fan because of limescale and cleaning, so I prefer a shower curtain. I think fabric is also something quite interesting to introduce into harder spaces like bathrooms. And because it is a really small space, we decided to line the entire bathroom with a massive mirror. And this mirror is something that I love because there is a demister pad behind it, and it also meant that it kind of elongates and enlarges the space because it reflects. So I think from a design perspective, even though I would have loved a bigger bathroom, but I think for the size that it is, functionally and aesthetically, it's exactly how I imagine it to be. We actually decided to tile the floor in the same tile finish as the wall because, again, minimal finishes meant that the space could kind of feel a bit bigger. I know brass sanitary ware is having a big moment at the moment and very expensive. I didn't want to go for brass because of the cost element, and I feel like actually using chrome or nickel to balance out the finishes a bit more was something that we were very conscious about in our budget. Thanks Home Inspire for coming for my house tour. If you want to come hang out and check out my social media pages, you can see me on Instagram for Doing Up Denby or via Den. I'll see you guys later. Bye!